Okay, so the story I'm about to tell you guys, honestly, I did not think was going to be possible, but this story does get really intense, and I remember this was one of the most funniest times I ever went out with my sneaky link. But before I get into that, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And on top of that, I'm currently live on Twitch, so if you guys want to see me live on Twitch of me doing dumb things daily, then you might as well just click the link down below and watch me. But other than that, let's get straight into this crazy story. And what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place back when I was in high school. You see, as a daily high schooler, I won't lie. In high school, I was pulling girls left and right. I'm not gonna lie. I was a slayer back in high school. How did I accomplish this? Well, to be honest, there was many ways to accomplish getting women. And honestly, at this point, I think I should just make a video on it. But, you know, we'll leave that for another time. If you guys do want the video of how I got girls, just comment down below. Yo, I need to get girls. Teach me. And yeah, I'll probably post a video about it. I already did, but you know what? We'll post another. Anyways, like I was saying, back in high school, I was pulling girls left and right. I'm not gonna lie. Grabbing girls weren't that difficult. But I remember there was this one girl specifically I saw on a dating app one time. And funny enough, this girl lived really close to me. And that's what most dating apps are about. Like finding people that are near you, that live like a block from you. You know, you can make it the location basically anywhere. Like if I really want to, I could go on Tinder and put it onto Ukraine and find, I don't know, an e-girl in Ukraine to like make my wife, and then boom, she has a green card. She can come to Canada. I don't know. Sorry. Jokes aside, I remember basically I was swiping through and I remember I found this one girl and she lived literally like 2 blocks away from me. I was mind blown. I remember I instantly swiped on her and she instantly swiped on me apparently because we instantly became friends on Tinder. And I remember she messaged me. She's like, hey, aren't you the guy with like that blue like silica? Like that's like 2 blocks down from me. And I messaged her back and I'm like, oh yeah. If you guys don't know, I had a blue Toyota Celica. It was my dream baby. Like it was my car. Like I love that thing to bits. But knowing that she recognized me because of my car was kind of funny. And then I remember she messaged me saying, oh, it's like kind of cool. Like I kind of like your car. Like kind of nice. And I said, yeah, I'll drive by your place sometime. You know, you can be in it. Actually, it's usually the passenger seat's free. You know, trying to basically flirt back. And she kind of giggled. And she's like, oh, like, yeah, sure. I'm down. What are you doing tomorrow? And at that point, I got excited. And I'm like, damn. Okay, bet. Now, if you guys are wondering if this girl went to my school that I met on Tinder, no, she did not go to my school. Funny enough, she went to like a private school because her parents are like super strict apparently. And me, I remember I went to school that day, to my school at least, and I ended up telling my friends about her. And I'm like, dude, like this chick, she recognized me from my car. She's kind of hot. Look at her go. She lives a block away from me. And my friend said like, bro, just make her a sneaky link. Like, don't like actually get with her. In my mind, I was thinking, yeah, you're probably right. Because me in a relationship is honestly like a big fumble. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not the best in being in a relationship. I can't lie to you guys. Many people ask me, how am I still single? I'm not good at being in a relationship. It's just not for me. Anyways, I remember when he told me that, I ended up messaging her saying, so like, are you like free tonight? Like, what do you want to do? And she told me that she wanted to go see a movie with me. But me knowing that I would have to pay for a sneaky link is no. If you guys don't understand the basic rule, you don't pay for a girl unless you are dating them or unless you are seeing them. But if you're making them a sneaky link, you don't pay for her. So I remember I told her like, oh, like we could just watch a movie at my place. But knowing that her parents would be super strict on that, she said to me, oh, like you can just come over to my place. Like my parents won't be home. Great. Sure. I'm down. I said yes, knowing that she lived literally a block away. I didn't mind. And then she texted me after saying, oh, but like make sure you park your car like at your place and just walk over. Okay. I didn't mind that. And I said, sure. So I remember once I ended up making that plan, I remember I went up to my friend and I said, yo, bro, like I have a date with her tonight. This is gonna be sick. And he looked at me. He's like, bro, it's not a date. You're going in there. You're doing the devil's tango and you're gonna just leave. Yeah, it's kind of a bad thing to think about it that way. I didn't have good influences back in high school. So if you guys are going into high school, you guys are in high school, get yourself good influences. Because you got to understand, it wasn't just me that was being the F-boy in my school. I had influences around me that was also making me one. Just a quick reminder. High school will do that to you. Anyways, I remember basically me going home that day and I ended up just kind of laying down, playing Call of Duty on my Xbox, and I was just kind of talking to the boys. And I get a random phone call. I remember I ended up giving this girl my number on Tinder because, you know, why not? And then I remember she ended up calling me saying, hey, like, I'm at my place right now. Like, if you want to come over anytime soon, like, you can, like, 20 minutes. I said, sure, like, I'm down. And I got ready. I basically put on my clothes. I ended up putting a rubber in my wallet, and I ended up just leaving. When I left, I remember I walked over, and as I was walking over, I ended up seeing a truck leave out of her driveway. My guess is that it was her parents. Her dad drove, like, a big, scary hillbilly truck, and honestly, he was intimidating AF. Like, it was weird. But I remember just going in there, and I just went inside the house, and I'm like, oh, like, what's going on? I walk in there, and I saw, like, she turned off the security cameras at her house, which is kind of funny, and I mean, smart, knowing that previous issues I used to have with girls and security cameras. And I went in there, and we ended up sitting on her couch. We ended up sitting on her couch, and we ended up turning on the TV, and we ended up watching some kind of dumb movie. I don't know, to be honest, I think it was called Parent Trap. It was, like, about these, like, 2 girls that, like, basically, like, pranked their parents in divorce. I don't know, it was some kind of romantic but weird movie. I don't know, it made no sense. Anyways, we were watching that, and I remember she ended up, like, coming up beside me, and she ended up putting her hand on my thigh, and we ended up making out on the couch. As that was going on, I remember I was kind of, like, you know, making sure, like, this girl knew our boundaries. Like, I told her, like, oh, like, I'm not really, like, looking for a relationship right now. now. But for her, that kind of made her smile. And she's like, oh, like, I don't mind. Like, that's not an issue. As if she had like some kind of master plan to make me fall in love with her. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if she locked me up in like a cage and made me do 365 with her. I don't know. It just kind of terrified me. But I remember basically me and her, we ended up making out on the couch again. And then she kind of like told me, hey, like, do you want to like maybe like just go to my room instead? I have a TV up there as well. Bro, what? This girl had a TV in her room? Kind of a flex. But I remember we ended up going up to her room and we ended up laying on her bed. And yes, one thing led to another. We ended up doing the Devil's Tango. Me and her ended up doing that for, I want to say, almost like 2 hours. But time was getting the best of us. Knowing the movie ended like 20 minutes ago and like I was just still there and me and her were still doing the Devil's Tango was a bad thing. Because I remember there was a beep beep sound like coming from the background going beep beep. And I thought it was some kind of alarm, but then she looked at me in panic and she's like, you need to hide now. I'm looking at her. I'm like, what do you mean? I look out the window because usually the escape route is usually the best way through the window. But I saw we were on the second floor and it was way too far of a drop. Like I would have broke my legs. And then I remember I went under her bed because she told me to go hide under. So I went hiding under her bed. And as I went under there, me being totally topless with my undies on, her dad walks in. Her dad walks into her room saying, hey, like whose shoes are in the front? I don't recognize these shoes. And I was wearing my black Vans and she said, oh, like they're actually like my shoes. I forgot I bought new ones. Her dad looks at her saying, so you're a size 9.5. I had bigger feet than her. What can I say? She's a woman. The girl starts laughing and saying, wait, size 9? Oh my goodness, I must have took my friends by mistake at school. Oh, that's so embarrassing. And I was like kind of like laying down there just thinking, wow, this girl really trying to get away with this right now. I wonder how this is gonna go. So there was one or two things that could have happened. One, I could have gotten instantly caught, or two, the dad could have just, you know, let it go. But then I remember the dad was walking around the room and he saw my t-shirt and he looks at my t-shirt and he's like, okay, someone is definitely here. You're not lying to me, are you? As he speaks to his daughter. I remember the girl was like kind of freaking out saying like, oh, like she was stuttering. And at that point, I did not know what to do. I remember I was sweating and trying my best not to breathe. But then he ended up leaving the room saying, is anyone in here? Anyone in here at all? He ends up going looking around the house for me. And I remember I just laid under her bed not knowing what to do. I had my phone close to like me. So I remember I reached for my phone and I saw and I ended up getting a message from her saying, I don't know how you're going to get out of this, but you got it somehow. I'm just laying there panicking thinking, so you're leaving me for dead? Like at this point, because I didn't know what to do. Because reminder, her dad was like a hillbilly looking boy. Like it was scary. So I was just kind of laying down. I'm just thinking, okay, I gotta think. And I remember that my friend that like was a good friend of mine didn't live that far from me. And I thought it would be smart for him to bring a ladder and basically put it up against the window so I can go off the window while he's not looking. So I texted the girl saying, I need you to give me 10 minutes to get everything ready. And I need you to make sure that your dad doesn't come back in this room because I will end up leaving. She was messaging me saying like, how are you going to do this? Like, are you going to kill yourself? Like, what's going to go on? And I'm like, listen, I have a master plan. Don't worry. I sounded like James Bond at this moment. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And I remember my friend messaged me and he's like, yo, I'm here with the ladder. I got you. Where do you want me to put it? I ended up kind of like getting out under the bed and I started tapping on the window until he saw me. And then he ended up coming there. He ended up putting the ladder down. He put it facing me and I ended up seeing the ladder. I opened the window. I jump out the window. But as I just went out of the window and started going down with my clothes in my hand and everything, the dad walks back into the room, seeing my face, thinking, who in the world is that? And I remember I ended up sliding down the ladder as if it was like in GTA. And I remember me and my friend both grabbed an end of a ladder and we ended up running out of there. Like we sprinted to my house that was like 2 blocks away with the ladder. I remember we ended up running and I remember when we got to my place, we ended up putting the thing down and I was like kind of just going inside my house hiding. And it was so funny because that entire night, I remember as well that the dad was driving around the neighborhood looking for us with his hillbilly truck. And God, I did not want to know what was in the back of that truck. Okay, so in my opinion, don't do violence. Violence is never the answer. At least that's what my mom told me growing up. But I'm gonna be brutally honest here. In some moments in your life, you're gonna realize that there's a fight or flight situation. It's this thing that triggers you in your mind. And sometimes fighting the person is just something you have to do. Or at least something that your mind says you have to do to survive. And today's story is one of those situations, but in no way should anyone be doing this. Hell, no one should be doing anything I do on this channel because, well, let's just be real here. It's crazy and it's gotten to the point where YouTube is scared of me. Like literally, they almost demonetized me again. But before I do get into the story, make sure you do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Seriously, means a lot when you guys do. And on top of that, make sure you guys join the Discord server down below. You guys get the greatest updates there of what's going on in my life. And on top of that, you guys are able to tell your guys' crazy stories. And who knows, maybe one day I'll use it for one of these crazy videos. Other than that, let's get straight into this crazy, insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place back when I was in high school. And I think this was my grade 11 to going to grade 12 year. It was the the summer of, and I remember I was totally going off on a spree. What do I mean by a spree? I mean, I was going total F-boy mode, meaning that I was literally going after every chick I could think of because it was summertime. Meaning I'd go to the beach and hang out with some chicks. I would go, you know, to parties and hang out with girls. I do the whole thing, which is kind of insane knowing that I'm a homebody, but for some reason, me getting out there and me having the friends to go out to parties and get invited to things was awesome. Me knowing that I was going to be a grade 12 next year, or aka a senior, it gave me like ways to like get into cool parties and stuff. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because like, you know, high school is just weird like that, but I don't know. I had some sort of seniority, if that makes sense, which is funny because seniority, never mind. Going on with the story though. I remember one time I was chilling at home and basically my friend ends up calling me up saying, yo bro, like remember that party we went to like the other week? And I'm like, oh yeah, like I remember, because I think I made out with like 3 different chicks at that party. He straight up told me, yo bro, like one of them wants you like go over to the house, like literally like she keeps asking me for your number. And the reason this girl kept asking him was because he was the host of the party, so he kind of like knew everyone that was going. And I told him, oh yeah, just go ahead, just give her my number, because you know, obviously I didn't care. Like I was just kind of pull any chick I could. And honestly, I don't think I remember which chick it was because I was wasted at the time. But going on with the story, I remember basically he's like, oh okay man, like I got you right now. And literally 2 seconds later, after I hung up, straight up, this girl ends up messaging me saying, hey, like it's me, I was wondering like if you want to like chill sometime, like I know we haven't talked since a party, but like you're really a down-to-earth guy. Down to earth? What did I say to you that made you think I was down to earth? I'm gonna be honest, back when I was in high school, I think I would just say anything to pull chicks, or you know, say anything that they want to hear. I mean, it makes the most sense. Like it's odd, but it's one of my methods of getting girls. Just say what they want to hear. And then she ended up messaging me saying, oh, like you don't remember? Oh my goodness, you know what, how about instead we just like just meet up and like just hang out for a bit? And I'm like, oh, like yeah, sure, we can do that. And then I remember straight up, me and her, we ended up going to this park and walking around this park that had like a really nice lake around it. As me and her were walking around the lake and stuff, I remember she kept trying to hold my hand, but I kept telling her like, nah, like I'm not a hand holder kind of guy. Because I'm gonna be honest, me and her, we weren't in a relationship. It's really weird how this girl was trying to like really get on to me when we literally just met again for the first time. Well, actually get to know each other for the first time. I don't know, if I meet a girl at a party, I don't consider me actually meeting them. Because like when I went to parties back in high school, I would lie about like half of the things in my life just so I know I could pull a chick up by the end of the night. It's one of my strategies for pulling girls. And no, it's not good to lie to girls, but it is a strategy. I will say that much. Anyways, as me and her were walking around the lake, I remember she told me, hey, so like you told me that like you were going for your PhD after high school. Like how's that going? What? My PhD? I have ADHD? What do you mean my PhD? Somebody told me, I told her like I was trying to be like a successable person and stuff. And then after that she told me, oh, like also like how's like your honors student doing? Like are you actually like an honors student? Like how hard is that for you? Honors? I didn't even take normal courses half of the time. I'll be honest, I skipped school. I basically realized that I basically lied about my whole life towards this chick, and I kind of felt bad, but at the same time I didn't, because I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't interested in the first place. And then I remember basically me and her, we ended up like basically talking and stuff, and she was like really interested in me, and I just kept up holding a persona that wasn't really me. So in a way it was like catfishing, but not actually catfishing. Does that make sense? You know what, sure. Going on with the story though, anyways, later on me and this girl started talking about what to do next, and me, I was planning on going home, but then she told me, oh, like my mom and dad aren't home, so like do you want to like maybe like come over? I ended up telling her sure, because like why not, you know, if you can do the devil's tango, you know, we can just call it a day. And I just never talked to her again. So that was my plan originally. So I remember me and her, we ended up going to her house, and when we got there, I ended up walking through the door, and me and her, we instantly went up to the bedroom, and we ended up doing the devil's tango. But as me and her were doing it, I literally remember out of nowhere, and I mean out of nowhere, 10 minutes later, her dad just runs into the room sprinting. Legit sprints into the room and sees what's going on. I remember he looks at me, he's like, what are you doing to my daughter? Like as if he's like the Hulk or something. And me, I'm just kind of like shook, like, oh, okay, like this is getting awkward. And basically, I remember out of nowhere, he starts like kind of like looking at me, and then he wants to ram into me as if like he's like some bull. Like literally, I start freaking out as he's running into me, and I remember his daughter is like, oh no, like please stop, like no. And like she's like panicking as she's like not wearing anything on. And me, I'm like rushing to put on my sweatpants, and then out of nowhere, and I mean it, I don't know why, my first intention was to reach for the window. So him, as he's running into me, I move out of the way, I run straight to the window. He runs into like this like side table that she has beside her bed, and me, I start like basically trying to open the window, but I realize it's locked. For some reason, this girl's window would not budge at all. And then I start panicking even more, not knowing what I'm able to do. So what I decide to do is I look at her and I'm like, like, what do I do? And after that, she's like, stop. Like, he knows how to do kung fu, dad. What? I don't know how to do kung fu. I've never done kung fu in my life or any type of fu. So I start freaking out and I'm like, oh God. So he starts walking up to me. He's like, oh, so you think you know kung fu, huh? All right, try to do something then, huh? You think you can come in here and stay with my daughter? And me, I'm just looking at him like, oh yeah, okay. And this is when I realized that I had to throw a punch. So what I ended up doing was I literally decided to go off what I learned on a YouTube video one time. Don't ever do this, by the way. This is a really bad idea. No one should ever be doing this. I do not condone violence in this video. Don't do this. I think that's enough for YouTube to not demonetize me. I legit ended up throwing a punch right to his throat. And when I punched him in his throat, I ended up grabbing his head and slamming it on my knee. Not the smartest idea, but I saw it in a movie and a YouTube video one time. It was actually pretty cool. And I kind of like John Wicked it. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I straight up did some kind of like kung fu move and he ended up literally getting knocked out and falling to the ground. The girl looks at me. She's like, did you actually just knock out my dad? And I look at her and I'm like, no, I didn't knock him out. He's pretending. No, he wasn't pretending. I didn't know what to say at that point. I started panicking and I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I'm just gonna leave is what I said. Well, I ended up rushing towards the door downstairs and I got all my clothes on and my backpack and everything. But right as I got to the door, I remember a person was walking in and it was his wife. His wife ended up coming through the door. He's like, excuse me, who are you? And I look at her and I'm like, don't worry about it. And then I ended up leaving and going straight to my car and dipping. But it was so funny because I remember as I was going through the door, I straight up just heard, Mom, he's knocked out. Dad's gonna kill me. Yeah, I mean, after that one, I'm not surprised. And when me and my girlfriend went upstairs to the parents' bedroom, I remember we saw the door slightly opened. And when I took a peek, you guys do not want to know what I saw. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to a super insane story. So today's story actually all takes place back in my grade 9 year. Now in grade 9, if you guys don't know, I actually had a girlfriend and this girl was actually really cute, but at the same time, she was super clingy. If you guys don't know what clingy means that she was really always trying to get my approval on everything and she kept flirting with me and she kept basically being, well, nearly obsessed with me. Obviously for most men, this wasn't a big deal, but for me it was. And I remember she would always want to stay near me and by my side even throughout high school. Like, I am not joking. I think every day since I started dating her in high school, she would be there like 80% of my day and always by my side, which gets really annoying, especially when you're trying to hang out with your friends. I remember one time though, she ended up actually walking up to me and she ended up telling me, hey Bubba, I was just wondering, my parents said it would be cool if I could invite you to family dinner. So like, is it cool if you do come over? Like, please? I remember I didn't really want to go because to be honest, like, this was me in grade 9. Like, this was just any basic high school relationship. And let's be real here, guys. Most high school relationships don't last. But me, I remember I felt bad and I remember she kept looking at me straight in my eyes and I didn't really know what to say. So I ended up looking away and basically saying, okay, well, to be honest, I'd rather not go because like, I don't know, I don't think I'm ready to meet your parents yet. By the way, I was only dating this girl for like 3 months. So this was like a month in our relationship. I remember she got really upset when I said no, basically, and she ended up walking off for the first time, which was kind of insane. But me thinking that, you know, she would get over it, well, I was severely wrong because what ended up happening next, I swear was really just weird. Because I remember one time I was sitting in the school cafeteria with me and the boys and we were just all talking about some video games that we wanted to play when we got home. And out of nowhere, my girlfriend ends up walking up to me, going on her knees and begging me to come over. Like, I am not joking. She was on her knees saying, Bubba, please just come over. I really want you to come meet my parents, please. It'll be super exciting. I promise you'll have a good time. I remember when she did it in front of my friends and everything, I really had no choice and was basically peer pressured to say yes. So that's what I did. I ended up saying, yeah, sure. You know what? I'll come over. Okay, I'm down. And when I did, I remember this girl jumped up for joy and she was super happy. Now, obviously me agreeing to this was actually a severe regret. And I won't lie to you, I was super stressed out because this would be like one of the first times where I actually meet a girlfriend's parents, which is never easy for someone. Later on that day, I remember when I got home, I ended up getting text messages back to back from my girlfriend telling me how excited she was that I was meeting her parents. And me, I didn't really know what to do and I didn't ask my parents for advice because at the time they didn't know I was dating anyone. So I remember when it became around dinner time, I ended up telling my parents that I would just be downstairs and I didn't want to do anything. When in reality, I snuck out my window, got on my BMX bike and actually rode down to her place. When I rode down to her place, I remember I ended up actually just knocking on the door and her mom answered. And her mom looked at me saying, oh, so you must be the boyfriend. Yeah, hi. Is my girlfriend home? Oh yeah, she's home, of course. Here, come on in. We're about to have dinner. And when I walked in, I remember my girlfriend was freaking out, super excited that I was there. And on top of that, we all ended up sitting at family dinner. dinner. Now, me sitting at family dinner with a girlfriend's parents, usually what you expect is these two parents interrogating you and basically trying to figure out who you are. But this family dinner was none of that, because I remember as I was sitting there the whole time, the father and mother of my girlfriend kept flirting with each other across the kitchen table. Like, it got to the point where they started biting their lips very, well, disgustingly, and I won't lie to you, I almost couldn't eat from how weird it was. I remember I ended up looking at my girlfriend and she ended up basically telling me that this was normal somehow, which makes no sense to me, because like, when you bring your boyfriend for the first time over for a family dinner, don't you expect to get interrogated? Like, I was expecting a whole shebang, but I guess not, because the only banging that ended up happening was, I remember after dinner, me and my girlfriend, we ended up going downstairs, and right away we ended up basically sitting in her bedroom watching a movie, which ended up leading up to me and her doing the devil's tango. And boy, when I tell you what happened next, you guys are going to be shocked, but not as shocked as me seeing that 84.6% of you guys aren't subscribed. So I would highly just press that subscribe button if you enjoy these stories. But going on with the story, I remember as me and her were in the middle of doing the devil's tango, I ended up hearing a super weird noise upstairs. Now, this noise, I didn't know what it was, and I kept basically like, you know, questioning what it was, but at the same time I noticed that the noise that was coming into the room wasn't from actually our room. So as I'm looking around in the middle of the devil's tango, I remember I ended up basically seeing a vent above my girlfriend's bed where there was weird noises coming out of. I ended up basically getting super annoyed from the noises, and I ended up laying down beside her, wearing absolutely nothing by the way, and questioning her, saying, "Yo babe, I'm just curious, what's that noise?" "Oh, that's probably just my parents upstairs." What are they doing up there?" "Oh, just don't worry about it. Here, let's just keep going. I'm not done yet." "No, babe, I'm actually curious. Like, what's going on up there?" "Babe, why are you so curious?" "I'm just wondering." And right after I said that, a loud crash ended up coming from upstairs, and at that moment I got worried. I remember I ended up putting on my pants and underwear on, and I was shirtless by the way. I ended up going out to the hallway and actually going up the stairs to see what was happening. As I was heading up there though, my girlfriend was right behind me and she was just making sure I was safe, but she kept telling me over and over to basically not annoy her parents and doing whatever. But me, I was so filled with curiosity and actually super worried about the loud crash that I heard from earlier. But once I got upstairs and I saw the door was slightly open, this was the moment of my biggest regret, because right as I ended up hearing a loud noise and I ended up hearing some moaning coming from the bedroom, I ended up slightly opening it, and right as you know it, I saw both of her parents doing the devil's tango. And it was one of the most disgusting sights to see, because her mom was like, well, I want to say overweight, and her dad was like, well, a pencil. So me seeing this giant woman on top of this tiny man that was smaller than I was at the time was actually very concerning. And when I was looking at them and I saw them doing the devil's tango, I ended up basically like staring, questioning what in the world am I looking at. But right as I was staring at them, out of nowhere, her dad saw me at the door and starts freaking out saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you have to see this." And out of nowhere, they both like basically ended up getting clothes on as fast as possible, and then all of us ended up going to the living room and having a sit down talk about basically the safety of how you should be safe during the devil's tango. It was one of the most awkward conversations because at the time there was two couples in the house doing the devil's tango. But boy, will I say it was the most embarrassing thing I ever had to go through. But at the same time though, the secret of not getting walked in on is following for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.